Hello and welcome to the third Crimson Crucible. I'm Piotr and I'm with Amit
Hey,
and our special guest John Silva.
Hello.
So,
Super special.
yeah, super special. So,
eventually we got here.
yeah, we had some difficulties along the way, but uh, it's sorted out, so we can stream now. Hopefully, most people didn't leave the chat, so we're not alone. Okay, I guess let's start the talk. So
Yes.
you probably
So yeah, we're really sorry.
yeah most of you
Go for it. You can tell this isn't scripted.
yeah most of you probably know John because he used to be very active on the Crimson Daggers. I think John, you started from the beginning of the Crimson Daggers, right? Like when
I was pretty much when Dave started streaming. It was I want to say 5 months when he was 5 months in. Maybe 6 was when I just found out he only had like 10 viewers.
Yeah.
and being nobody.
Yeah.
But to us, it was amazing, right? So
Yeah.
I was pretty much at the beginning, but not at the very, very beginning. There was other people there too.
So, which Bloodsports was the first one you've joined? Because I know you've won the fourth, I think, the Lizard Challenge.
Yeah.
So
I joined two of them. I think I joined. It was the third and the fourth, and that's it. And then I started getting work. Funny enough.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you want to get jobs, just do challenges.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I think I stumbled upon Crimson Daggers around the end of the third challenge. So yeah, I actually joined the fourth, but without much success. Yeah.
Oh.
It was great.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And he's still doing art. I mean, figure that out.
Yeah.
You failed so many times and you're still going.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. So yeah,
fucking suck. Why are you still doing it?
You could say that to any of us. Huh?
We all apply to. It's okay.
Hey, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of what you've been doing, like a quick rundown of what you've been doing since you started getting work, and kind of maybe some of the IPs you worked with, stuff like that.
Oh shit. Since when? Since the beginning?
No, don't go through your entire life history, but maybe some key, like the moments where you were like, oh wow, I did this,
Okay, my first oh wow moment was when my first year of painting ever. I needed money, so I did hentai images.
Nice.
So I've drawn like weird fucking ladies, like half kangaroos, half fucking. Funny enough, quite a few of us had the same client. Sam Carr, Miles Johnson.
Really?
Yeah, we all had the same client. We didn't know each other at the time, but we all had the same fucking weird ass client, and because we all needed money and we sucked.
That's hilarious.
So I've done that. I think I've done 4 images until he took it. Every image he took it too far, and I was like, all right, I need money, but calm down.
And so none of this is in your folio.
None of this is in my portfolio.
Why?
Maybe I should bring it back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
and then
that's
you skip ahead. You skip ahead like 1.5 years. Yeah, 1.5, almost 2 years. My first ever published card. I started straight up doing card art. That's what I was focusing all the time. I did for AEG. That's Alderac Entertainment Games. They paid terrible, but they were actually really awesome clients to have. I had to wait forever. I'm pretty sure they're different now. I would suppose so, because the industry changed so much within these few years. And then you skip ahead. Then was Fantasy Flight Games. And then you skip ahead again. I did a huge step from Fantasy Flight Games to Legend of the Cryptids.
Nice.
It's like I was doing really shitty Fantasy Flight Games cards and a bunch of private clients. Actually, the private clients were my main source of income. Not
actually,
the
that's exactly where I am at the moment. I'm doing shitty Fantasy Flight cards and lots of private client stuff. So
yeah,
Applebot next.
No, don't go to Applebot now.
No, it's not my thing.
But you skipped
really?
hentai part, I think.
Yeah, just to make it people, and then I was tired of doing that, so I took it really serious. Like 1.5 years in of painting, I was like doing worthless studies for a whole year. And worthless, I was just like copying. I was getting a little bit better, but after being mad at other people's growth, like Alex Negria and Mike Azevedo, I'm like, shit, they're getting really good really fast. Like, how can I do the same? And it's just observing what they were doing. No one really knew what to do anyways. It's just we kind of like just share our experiences and tweaked the way we did things. So I started doing the whole studying, making notes while I'm studying, and then applying the studies for the images. And that was thanks to the actually thanks to the challenges, right? The blood sports. So I saw people doing blood sports. I didn't get in to the first few ones because I was too shy, and I didn't felt like I would win anyway. Well, it's not about winning; it's about actually participating and getting better. But I was retarded, naive kid, so I didn't know that I should have joined and learned even faster. But regardless, it was pretty quick, anyways. Each challenge. The challenge that I won was the challenge that I realized how to do shit without being it worthless to me. And that's when I did a huge step. I was working for, at that time, aside from Fantasy Flight Games and other private clients, I was working for Spellweaver Cards. I don't know if you guys know. It's a very small, very, very small card company. It's just like a couple of people big. But they're doing very well now. Not when I was starting. When I was starting, it was terrible. Right. But they're doing very well now, apparently. And then, for the whole year, I was working over 15 hours, sometimes 20 hours with no breaks. And I don't advise this to everybody. It may sound as very hardworking, but actually you can make it even better. You can actually study for way less and learn even more than just being like 20 hours for 2 weeks. It was insane.
Yeah. Crazy grind. I think we've all gone through that crazy grind period.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it will work. Like, no matter how you put at it, your life is all about doing that, and you will get faster really, really good. But there is definitely ways to kind of tweak little things, and I'd say 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day. If you do it properly, you can actually learn even more than if you do 20.
Yeah.
Because that's at one point your brain just fucking shuts down and you're copying from that on. Anyways, then you fast forward to Applebots. Then there was a high peak for me working for Applebot, and then it was a very low peak at the end of Applebot. It's just everything went downhill as an artist and the company as well. Just like I really loved doing it at first for Applebot because it was new to me and I was getting paid really a lot of money for the time, and life was great, but I didn't have life as well. Like life monetary wise was great, but there was no time for myself at one point, because in the beginning of working for Applebot was great, barely any feedback, very smoothly. A lot of breathing room, no problem. And then they got bigger and bigger, and unfortunately I helped them quite a lot in getting people in, because I'm like, this is a great company, like everybody should be working for, and like we'll change the industry. Well, then they became worse. It's like the bigger the people, the more like, no, you can't do this, or you have to do this very specific thing. And then you from Applebot. Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
No, carry on.
And then you fast forward again. At that, after I quit Applebot, it was a couple of months before they shut down, or they went bankrupt. Then for quite a few months, I think half a year, I had to rebuild myself. I was just a piece of trash, like left out in the fields, and no one is gonna go there to pick me up.
Were they your main client at the time?
They were my main client. Like I was making a living off from them.
Wow.
So that ended up really badly, but I learned really a lot from that. I'm very thankful. Like as weird as it is, I'm very thankful for them and for the situation, because now it's way better. Way better.
So what are you doing now?
Now, oh my God, I'm doing so many things. I was working for another big company called NetEase, but recently not doing so much work for them. They were my main clients, and then on the side, shit, man, let me open here. I've done so many things that I forgot about.
Hey, that's not a bad thing.
Let me open here my work.
Means you've been busy. Yeah, there is a question for you, but I'll ask it to you later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, I was working almost full time for Token Studios. I still am working for them on and off, but NetEase, Token Studios, all client. I did a bunch of private clients that were paying well, so that's weird as well. I did some Smite high res, Smite the game, MOBA stuff.
Okay.
So a couple of cards.
Are you still mostly doing card art, or have you branched out into doing other things?
I have branched out, but I'm still doing card art. There's still a lot of work for card arts out there. I did some stuff for Square Enix, a couple of card stuff too. Book covers. Let me see here. High-res covers. Yeah, and then there was Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
Then I got Magic kind of recently. And
so it will be published in a year probably, yeah, right? Because I think that's the time span they publish the artwork. Am I right?
What?
Because when you do a card for Magic, it's published like in a year after that.
Oh yeah, so only in a year, around a year from now, you'll see my cards.
Yeah.
Probably. But there's a lot of work that I'm leaving out because I don't know if I can talk about it. There are more stuff than card art that I've been doing. All kinds of work, character
you don't have
design.
to tell us the secret stuff.
Yeah.
Although it would be nice. It would be nice because I used to be a Magic the Gathering player, so no.
Yeah. Right now I'm branching out a lot more than before. Definitely doing. I want to do some kind of like comic stuff as well, and I am doing a couple of tests to see if I'm able to do it.
Awesome.
The good thing would be because I have contacts with Marvel, but I don't want to work with them yet because I don't feel like I have the correct stuff to show them. But the contact is there, which is, the important bit.
That's awesome. Actually, that answers a question Moderatio was asking was, do you have any ideas for personal projects or something you're working on right now? So I guess that's something that you've been working on.
Personal projects, I do have personal projects, but if I say I was doing this thing or I'm doing this thing, then it becomes real. So I can say that Alchemy Rush is going to be a comic, but it's been on like pause and play because of work and stuff. But ultimately, I would like to make Alchemy Rush a real thing, and another comic that I have in mind that's more lightweight. I guess I would like to do something with my Potato Man, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Like something funny.
Hey, actually, you know what? Could you tell people that story really quickly? Because Piotr told me what that was all about really quickly, and it's hilarious.
The Potato Man story?
Yeah.
Well, summarize it. I was actually doing a card for Applipot, and I was really frustrated with the card. It was just a knight dude on top of a giant, like he's all victorious, and he defeated a giant. And I had nailed the face really, really well, but it wasn't the way they wanted it. So they kept changing and it looked like absolute shit. And I'm like, well, I might as well do a completely new hat for it.
Yeah.
And that's how Potato Man came about. It's just from the depths of my frustration and anger that came out. Because I'm like, well, I'm just gonna fucking send them these and quit.
So did you send them?
No, I did not send them.
Good idea.
That's probably why they went bankrupt. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah, if I would send them, they wouldn't be bankrupt anymore. I make all the money from that one card.
Yeah. But I thought the best thing about what Piotr told me actually was that now when you're like frustrated or whatever, you just draw another potato head. Is that right?
Yeah, Potato Head from that point on lives in all of our hearts. So when you're angered and frustrated, you just draw a Potato Head in your image, and everything will be fine from that point on. Awesome. It's just I will do it from time to time when I'm tired or I'm just like I don't know what to do with the image anymore. I just do that out of like because everything that I do is so serious most of the time.
Yeah.
Like the moment I add that in, it breaks it breaks the seriousness, right?
It's such a great idea. It's such a great idea. I didn't know about it because actually I haven't really known your work very much, or I joined the Crimson Daggers a little bit late and I wasn't that into online stuff. But yeah, that's right. that's hilarious. Really great story.
Yeah, and now I'm not gonna say too much about it. Yeah, I am doing things in order to be self-sufficient as a person. I am working on my personal stuff so that I won't need clients anymore. I mean, that's the point of it. That's my end goal right now. Do what I want without, pay for my own stuff, kind of thing.
That's the dream. That's the actual dream.
Yeah, that's the actual dream.
Yeah, it's not the freelance or any of that. That's like intermediate. It's the actual dream is to do your own stuff. It seems to be.
I don't care about doing movie stuff as I used to. Of course, if I would, then it's like, oh, cool, I've done this thing and it's real, but it's not it's not me. It's not a product that I made, because I like telling stories, doing the comic stuff, and even the little tests I've been doing. Yeah, I came to figure out that more and more there was something in it that I didn't realize that I love doing, which is storytelling, whether it's in comic, illustration, I'd say even writing. I haven't done any writing, extensive writing, but even that I probably would really love doing. So as long as it contains that and it entertains me and the viewers, then I'll be really, really happy. Like, I'll be the most happy if I can make a living off that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing all that, like your journey with us. And I think we should probably get to the thing everyone's really here for, which is who won. No, not true. But so why don't we go backwards from 3 to 1, and why don't you do us the honors of announcing who the winners are?
Do we announce the honorable mention, or?
We can do that at the end, maybe?
At the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third place.
Yeah, we need sound effects. We never have them.
Oh.
So third place, we decided to be. I don't want to butcher your name, so let me look at your nickname here real quick. Scroll down. So yeah, third place is Zorantis.
Woohoo!
Congrats, man.
Congrats.
You made it to top 3. Good job. Do we save 3, 2, 1, and then I'll critique them, or I'll go one by one? No, I'll just go one by one, right?
Yeah, let's just do it one by one. You can have your say, and then if we need to add something, we can, and then we'll just keep going.
All right. So, Zorant, are you guys showing the image? As I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so Zorantis, you were a close second. I'm not going to say who the second one is yet, but you were a close second, and I wanted to talk about it. Why didn't you not make it to second place? First of all, I feel like, I was told, I thought this is a 2D challenge. So when I was told that anything can apply to it, then, I got a different perspective on things. The main thing that I have a problem with your image, as an image, I don't care about the process in this situation, is what's happening here, and the culture surrounding the character is not really it doesn't feel real enough, in a sense where there's not much going on. It's just a couple of blocks and 2 lions just lying down. The lions are a very nice addition. It's been used in a few different cultures, like entrances, etc. But that's the only thing where my eye leads to, is those 2 things. Aside from that, doesn't really feel there's any history to the surroundings, which I personally believe that environments are as important as characters and can even emphasize whatever character is in it. So in this situation, it's just if you write it down on the paper, it's just a couple of blocks with 2 lions at the front, and a character is just walking by and be like, "Oh, an entrance." Like she's gonna I don't know, take a pee in the corner, and she's like, "Oh wait, what is this here?" Right? So definitely emphasize. I like your thumbnails more, and the exploration sketches you have done. To me, are way better than the final product, because it's more interesting. The fact that you had like a camel and an Egyptian dude like hidden under the whatever that thing is called that I forgot. So he had a little bit more culture in it. Like it's not just someone placed it there. Like if it was hundreds hundreds of thousands of years old. Like, you got to show that, and just a couple of blocks won't do it. People most likely would take very good care of it and make it, unique looking and nice looking. So I'm really, it's really a shame that you didn't added those two, the second focal point as you're showing. I can tell you worked on the composition beforehand doing your 3D stuff, which I think that's a very good plus point. Even clothing wise, I don't know what it is, and everybody done this, where your thumbnails are way better than the final products. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's much more detailed. Like, it seems as if you spend a lot of time doing the research, but you didn't divide enough time for the execution, like the thing that I'm going to judge you on as well, or mainly. So it feels like you added a lot more culture-y looking things in both character and environments, but you didn't add it to the main image. Composition wise, I like the angle, the camera angle. The character, again, it just feels like she stumbled upon it. She's just like, oh, okay, and that's fine. But it's not as, you could push it further. You can make it more interesting. When you do an image, you look at it and you want to be entertained, right? At this point, when I looked at the image, I'm like, okay, well, nice, like 2 lions. That's really it. Like the 2 lions take all of the focus from everything else for me, because everything else is bland looking. And definitely, like, bringing her with a camel, even if she stumbled upon it, the camel would add really a lot, as if she just arrived to this place, and she could even have a leash holding onto him, something to connect the fact that she's been traveling. Like, how did she even get there in first place?
It's that narrative aspect of it. So you're not just building narrative into the present, you're trying to suggest the past and the future as well. So having that camel would have suggested that she came from somewhere, and isn't just going for a stroll.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you have 1 week to refine that, so probably it would be great if you did. Are
we still on?
What? What?
What?
What happened?
All right. Anyways, I really liked your second composition too. And I almost feel like I would trade the second composition for the first one if you were to do what you did on the final image here on the second composition. I'd almost trade it. However, if you were to add all the little things we just discussed, and you even yourself drew, like, there's some really cool looking pillars with like little decals on it, and interesting shapes, right? And there's even like these dudes with their headgear like that. Like, that's so cool. That really is cool, but you didn't add any of it. You didn't add any of it to your final image. If you were not to add anything to it, then your second composition would be better. Would be more suited for a more simple. You're focusing on the character and encountering the place, not the place and then the character encountering it. So the environment wouldn't be your first priority. It would be the situation of the character. Going up those stairs, and the stairs could even be booby trapped, or I know you could play with it really a lot too, if you were meant to leave it bland looking. If not, then first composition definitely would suit more for a culturally enriched shot, right? So awesome. That's it from me.
Okay, is that it? Actually, you've been so thorough that I don't have a lot to say, except I agree with everything John said. It's the additional sort of design elements and narrative elements that are in there, and I just feel that it feels a bit too almost too 3D. So I if it was mine, I would have painted over it a little bit more, added more, those design touches to it. And yeah, definitely, I'm not going to talk about the pose or the composition because John covered it all. But for me, it was just that additional paint over oomph that, even with this as it is, kind of just made it fall a little bit flat for me. So, and I think this is also can be a problem with doing almost a fully 3D base. Is 3D can take a long time, and if you don't allow yourself to do the additional stuff on top of it, it can, you kind of have to allow that into your timeline to. I don't know if you intended to do more, but I hope that you would have, because it would have made the image much better. But anyway,
right.
Piotr?
I just wanted to before we move on, I just wanted to actually add on to it. I have no problems with 3D. I personally would prefer if you painted over everything, just because it's what I like looking at. But that's a selfish kind of thing to say. So you do what you want. However, do know that most of the amazing 3D artists out there, they do drawings. They do draw their stuff out, and know the fundamentals on image making. They might not be amazing at it and know all the color theories and everything else, but they do a lot of drawing as well. So don't forget about that. It's really important, whether you go 3D, 2D, or anything else. Know and brush on your fundamentals as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Piotr, do you have anything to add?
I think you covered most of the stuff. One thing is, I don't know why her leg is hidden below the sand. Not sure if that was intentional or a mistake, but one thing to look for. Yeah. Okay, I guess we can move to the second place. So, John, do the honors.
All right. Second place is... I'm actually just scrolling making time to scroll to the name. Neopathogen.
Yeah.
Congrats. So Neopathogen, you were voted third. You were voted third, and honestly, if I were to base your image just on the image alone, I don't know if you would make it third. However, it cannot be ignored the fact that you did a shit ton of fucking work. Like, holy crap. It's been a while since I've seen someone do so much work for one image. And the best, one thing is doing a lot of work. It's very admirable, of course, but I can see each step ahead that you've gotten better and better and better and better. Like, every single step you've been doing, it's an improvement that I can easily see. And last thing, you've applied every single thing, every single study, all the notes and everything else. You've applied it to your scene. Your scene is random as hell. So, like, it's not a good thing. It's really random and doesn't fit. I mean, there is the treasure finding theme, so you're still qualified for it. And I can tell that you tried to, you've added culture into it, like Roman culture into it. But still, it's like, as an image, it is random as hell. It's just a chick, like, dragging, like, write down on the paper your image. The chick shooting a snake. Chick shooting a snake, dragging the motor car, her motorbike, across. And there's what on the left side.
Is it a mongoose?
Who's that Jimmy on the left side? Who's the little
mongoose?
The little mongoose, little Steve in there, like little Jamie, just waving about, like, you can do it. Like, he's looking like, you can do it.
Yeah.
You're the best. Shoot that fucking snake. You probably could throw like a rock Like the exaggeration of this image makes it almost amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
There's the
it's
falcon.
true,
Oh
actually.
no, the falcon is in stones. That's okay. But I'm like, you could almost just throw a rock and the snake would probably be like, and then go away. But the fact that she's dragging her bike across the scene and she's shooting it while she's doing just so that someone will go and get the gem, which is in a wide open space, like, and that gem wouldn't be in there unless that snake is really mean. Then I guess not. But you have, in this case, she has a weapon. She has the upper hand. But like if you write it down on a paper, then it's definitely kind of ridiculous to a point that it's almost amazing. But know that the decision making on your image is a skill. We're laughing about it, etc. It's all in good sport. But
yeah,
I was told that you started doing digital quite recently, like 6 months or something like that. Crazy. So it really is admirable on the amount of work you put in and how good you've become to each thing, and you have applied every single study to your image. Like you will be one of those people that if you were with us back in the day on the Crimson Daggers, right now you'd be an amazing artist. No doubt better than me.
Do you know what I think about Neo? I think she's a female version of Alex Negrea.
Yeah.
Because she puts in so much work and she really improves, and it's
but
like...
you can say that to anyone else. I mean, Alex Negrea and Mike were the top ones who were showing it. A lot of us were doing... We weren't posting anything. But you're doing the amount of work and application that's the ones who are making it now and are successful. They're doing well, right? They're doing good. So if you keep doing this to every single image and focus on actually what's happening on the image, make it interesting. Like I look at these and it's interesting looking, but in a ridiculous, like funny way when you write it down. So definitely work on decision making in terms of what's going on in the image. I'm looking at your thumbnails of other situations, and I almost feel like any other thumbnail, again, everybody done this, but I feel like every other thumbnail you've done, the rougher thumbnails, are way better than scene-wise, are way better than the one you picked, in my personal opinion. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, so that's really it. You only made it to second because of the sheer amount of work you added in, and you made sure that we see it. And not only that, but more importantly, the fact that you everything you studied and you sketched was applied to your image. Nothing went to waste, and that is extremely important in my opinion. So yeah, that's it.
Absolutely right. And yeah, we're kind of laughing a little bit about the kind of the over-the-top extremeness of the image, but it is a very random image. So I mean, for the main thing for me is the action. So the bike seems to be... I know you took this on feedback. Initially the bike was just stopped, but you added like as if the bike was moving and still in motion, and I think it just doesn't work because it kind of breaks that whole bit. If she was just still on the motorbike, for example, it would kind of make a bit more sense as well. I mean, that doesn't apply to all the random nature of the image, but it's just that particular thing. There's still a couple of things with perspective, I'd say.
Yeah, perspective
there are technical stuff.
Yeah, there's some technical stuff. So, and the thing that really stands out for me is the perspective again. So, definitely something to look at when you're constructing these. And in terms of the color, I think you mentioned that you had a little bit of problems with the color. And I think just more study, to be honest, is is the way to go. You applied those color studies to the image, so exactly what John was saying.
I was thinking maybe the same approach we suggested to Brush Noir about making the clipping masks, and that could help, because the values and colors are a bit off, and it may be hard to actually make it spot on before you actually find the right range of color you want to pick. So I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying, but
okay. We could talk about it in the crits stream a little bit, like show it a bit more. But yeah, no, generally I'm actually really happy to have you in second, because I think your work ethic needs to be rewarded. And this image is miles better, maybe not in terms of content, but miles better in terms of everything compared to your previous one.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, let this be, in my personal opinion, and I'm biased as hell, I will say that let this be a reference to everyone else who wants to get better. Like Neopatogen is doing so many right things that I keep on ranting about. A lot of us who are professionals now will keep on ranting about, but not because it's such an easy concept, but a lot of work, right? There is a formula that no matter whether you like doing studies or not, you will get better, and that's my strong personal opinion on the matter. If you're doing studies and you're not getting better, it means that you're doing something wrong that needs to be adjusted, right?
Sure.
But 100%, I'd like to see more, even on other challenges, even if the other challenges don't ask you to do it. If you want to get top place, have interesting imagery, and you're gaining your skills even further ahead. Look at this post, look at what she did, and apply it. Now, just kind of repeating one last time before we move on to the first place. If she would have done, on terms of like making the image something, if she would do some more composition studies, perhaps. But even then, I'm looking at her other compositions. She wrote a lot. And there's so many good. I think you were unlucky and you picked the wrong one, in my opinion. Like, there's really interesting, even the one that has 3 snakes in it. If you have like more than one snake, as long as you have more than one snake, then it's viable to use the a gun, right? Don't forget that she's using a gun. This is not Tomb Raider. It's not gonna, unless it is, but you're gonna run out of bullets. You don't want to waste them on one snake, right? Now, if it's covered in snakes, you may want to have like a warning shot or two, and then they'll all like go out. If you were to do a second image, for example. But yeah, even that one was way better, in my opinion. Other compositions you use would work very, very well too. You're just unlucky to pick this one. You would have win the first place. So it was between like your decision on what the image was about and how interesting it was. Really went from barely making it third place, and your work ethic and evolution throughout to your work ethic saves you to second place. And if you would have picked the right composition, you would have gotten easy first place, to me, on how interesting the other compositions look like. So yeah, we can move on to the first place, if you guys.
Let's do it. So yeah, first place for CC3, the treasure hunter, is, and John, you can announce it.
Oh, okay. You started doing it, so I'm like,
no, I didn't mean to.
And the first place is,
or maybe
Lord Ratio.
Yeah. Okay.
Lord Ratio. Congrats, dudes. You were easily the only one image that entertained me for more than like 20 seconds. I actually got to look at the image. It felt like cool. It felt just entertaining. There's a lot that you can look at, but not too much so that it becomes overcrowded. You just added the right amount of history to it and interesting things to look at. You definitely could make it better like anybody else. Your skills. So, okay, let's talk about why you got first. You got first because the main focus of this challenge was to create an interesting image that, like you look at it for longer than, I know, like I said, 20, 30 seconds, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, I like this image. Like, it makes me feel something inside. It's not technically good. Far from it. There's other contestants who are better than you technically in terms of this image. So what really saved you is the idea of the image that you've made. The composition definitely could be better, but it works. You're trying to create a connection between the two characters, and the moment. There's a connection with everything. Everything connects to one another and feels uniform. I do not think about the image. I do not look at this image and be like, "Oh, the leg is broken," or
anything.
No technical terms when I look at this image go first into my head. It's only an afterthought. And I'm like, oh, okay, but like that, you definitely need to brush up on your drawing and painting skills, like everyone does. But you easily got first place to me. You just hit all the right keys. Everything feels uniform. It's interesting. Again, very, very important. If it's a very well drawn, if you were to draw this scene, but take some of the elements out, but the drawing would be amazing, it wouldn't entertain me as an image. It would entertain me as a skill, but that's different than the image itself. Pretend that you're showing this to someone that it's completely no art related whatsoever. They don't even like art, but you show it and they'll be like, oh, that's cool. Like the little critter is funny. Like there's a situation going on. It's like telling the critter to hurry up, or there's sand behind them coming out, or that could be even gold. Who knows? Like there's space for our imagination to fill in the empty spaces. Critique-wise, composition. It seems like you've placed things too neatly. Like this box goes here neatly. The other thing on the floor with the golden objects left to the character with the cape, like goes there, and then the character goes. Like it doesn't feel like the flow of elements, especially in the foreground, it feels like someone just moved things and organized them. I'd like to see it a bit more chaotic, less more organic, less like this goes here, that goes there. Even if you are thinking that way, make sure that it looks like it was organically put. Like, no one has been ever there for like thousands of years, right? You're coloring, like technicals. I don't want to talk too much for this challenge in terms of technical stuff. You guys are doing studies. You will get there. Yeah. You just have to keep on keeping it on. I will say, however, you use too much white. Everything is too. Wherever there's light, you just added white. And that's not how things work, color and value wise. Not everything, at least. You did your studies, you did your exploration sketches. I don't know if these are watercolors. If they are, they're absolutely awesome. I wish you would have done a finished watercolor image.
Yeah.
Like, you would have even further ahead with my heart. So no one would even dare to compete with you. I can see a couple of thumbnails here and there, but you chose the best thumbnail for the situation, so no critiques on there. Your watercolors color is way better than your final image. It's probably because of the nature of digital. You're maybe just dabbling onto it recently, and you're trying to figure out how to work with the software and how it actually works, everything. Definitely I can tell that drawing and watercolors for you are way more natural than digital, and there's your strength. You do not have to do digital, by the way. It's good if you learn, but it's something, if you guys have been to Dave's stream, he talked about it a lot, and then just kind of like repeat here that you do not have, like, what you've done, those little thumbnails, if you make it on a bigger paper and you have a good scanner, no one cares, like, honestly, like, it really doesn't matter. You can do full on watercolors and still be amazing, and people will want you.
I actually just wanted to jump in really quick and say, I think part of the flexibility of digital actually changed his composition, and one of the sketches, which is his initial composition sketch, was, I thought, a lot stronger and a lot more organic, and you can kind of see it there. And I think the ability to change so much actually broke the image a little bit more than it needed to. So just to reiterate that point, that you don't have to always do it digitally. So yeah, sorry, go ahead. Did you have anything else?
Who, me?
Yes.
No, that's really it, honestly. Just congrats, you've done well. You entertain me as a viewer, and I really liked the image. I felt a connection to it. Of course, I am the judge, and my personal tastes will influence a lot who wins or not. So if you haven't made it through, maybe you would have gone with a different judge. So do not get discouraged. Anyone who didn't went to the top 3, all of you did. We're going to the honorable mentions. Like, everyone gets a honorable mention because you all did what it was needed, and just one did more than another, and some maybe understood the brief better than others, which is a skill in itself too, or some had better ideas. Honestly, Kurt, Jeremy, talking about honorable mentions, I really liked that image. It's just that I cannot tell what's going on as much as I could on your sketches. Like, you have a line art sketch. The moment I saw that line art sketch, I'm like, that is really interesting to look at. If you would have done that, unfortunately, you were brought back by your skills. Everything's just way too dark. I cannot tell. I could not tell there was a figure in there until I saw your thumbnail. But if you would have made it maybe brighter, or just visibly, just more visible to us as viewers, it was very entertaining, and you could very well be in the top 3 for me. Probably you would take the 3rd place from Zorantos, in my personal opinion, just because you hit everything in the drawing. You hit everything that was necessary. You've done your studies. You did your thumbnails. You had better thumbnails. Again, everybody did this. Picking the wrong.
There's a theme on this one.
I don't know if I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that you guys didn't pick the correct thumbnail or better thumbnails because you didn't felt like you had the skills to accomplish that thumbnail. Maybe you weren't secured enough. I don't know. Could be totally wrong. But the fact is, everybody picked the wrong thumbnails, which is really funny.
True. You know what's really funny, looking at the previous challenges as well, is there's always a theme that everyone seems to be doing or getting wrong consistently. Last time it was actually, I can't even remember. I think it was. It's completely skipped my mind, but this time the theme seems to be, the thumbnail, the composition hasn't been picked.
Oh, can we talk about the brush noir piece? Because
yeah, sure.
John, you had something to say because
yeah. All right. So brush noir. I had to talk about you just because I feel like I contributed a lot to the type of image that you're doing, which is Applebot like. Before I say anything, if you love doing it, if you did this image and you could do like 100,000 more. Oh, that's okay. Thank you. If you could do 100,000 more and this is what you really love doing, please disregard everything that I said. However, I feel like I contributed a lot to the skimpy looking just armor on top of a naked girl. And nothing really much is happening. I mean, it is, but she's just sitting with a floating bottle. There is magic, etc. The special effects make it a little bit more actiony, but the base in there is just chick sitting on top of a treasure with the bottle up, like looking like, this is a bottle. And then she's wearing she's just wearing nothing. I personally really dislike that kind of imagery because I've done it. I'm the first to blame myself. And it's not because of my experiences with Applebot or people who do work like that. It's just that when I look at something like that, it is really not interesting to me. It's like, it's flat. It's if it was a dish, it really needed salt and pepper. There's no seasoning to it. If you know what I mean, it's all, you have the same problem as Sorrento's, where you need to focus on the character, but nothing is really, it's not interesting to look at. You know, if she's gonna be, let's say you like doing naked girls with armor on top, like very little armor on top, at least make it interesting, as in the situation. Like focus on the storytelling. Like pretend that the character is where it's like is interesting looking, and focus on the situation at least, you know. And in this case, it's just like, how can you make an image where people are going to be entertained? And these kind of images become stale very quickly, and people focus on different things, like, is the girl hot or not? And then they're going to unzip their pants. Like, think about it for a second, that someone will jack off to your images. If you're okay with that, then you're totally fine. I'm sure plenty of people jacked off to my images, and I feel very weird about that.
Wow.
But you want to make sure that if you enjoy doing it, then focus on other areas of the image to like enhance. If you're gonna make a naked, skimpy looking girl, or you want to make her over sexualized, use everything in the image to that, you know. Like, if you want to over sexualize this girl, like maybe show a little bit of underwear, or choose a different camera angle where you can enhance that further, right? This image, the moment, because sexual, like making something more sexual, because of our nature as human beings, will take the focus away from whatever is happening, right? You could have an amazing, for example, let's say a photo. You can have an amazing photo taken of this, I know, beautiful blue sky, and there's just amazing imagery, like the Chinese mountains or something, and there's mist going through. Like, that's always fascinating to me, for example. But the moment you add a naked person, girl or guy, it's just the focus is gone. It's not about the scenery anymore, because we're going to pay attention to the naked people, unless, and here's the thing, what I'm trying to get to, if they're naked, they could be tribal, for example. They can be like, you fit in with whatever the surrounding is, right? So we didn't grow up with clothes on, obviously. So look at past history and like tribes and how they do it, and you can take a step ahead and make it attractive if that's you like doing, and make it over sexualized, but it will fit in with everything else, and it will synchronize with the whole image from one to another, right?
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah.
Let me
actually,
see.
Could I Brush actually asked a question earlier, but it probably applies to his piece as well, because he was asking, how would you study card art? Is there a specific style you have to learn, or is it mostly storytelling? So I think you've actually, maybe Brush is going for card art style stuff. So yeah, I think about that. Like, in addition to what you've already been saying, because I think that's applicable as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Hold on. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you like doing it, I'm always afraid of giving critiques on these kind of images, because I would have to know you as a person. Do you really like doing it? Like, my first instinct is to say, please don't do this kind of images, but who the fuck am I to tell you what to do? If you like doing it, you do it. I personally don't feel like this adds anything according to my tastes currently, even though I've done them. But you need to understand that a lot of us who are doing images, the girls were completely clothed, and the clients were like, no, less clothes. Like, you need to understand that we did not do the images, like 99.9% of us did not do those images because we wanted to, or the girls looked that way because we wanted to. It's more like they kept forcing us to do it. If we want, we're not getting paid, and we need to get paid. So don't take it as
you have to satisfy the client, I guess.
Exactly. You have to satisfy the client.
Bottom line.
If you want to do your own stuff, like really think about within yourself if you do enjoy making this kind of images. If you do, then use everything to your in your power to enhance that. But you must know that nakedness takes a lot of focus in an image, picture, movie, fucking even Discovery Channel. Don't matter where. Just if you see naked people, your main instinct is not to care about what else is going on. It's like, aha, nipples, or I don't know, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, really think about it. Take what you will from this, and I felt like I had to talk about it because I almost feel like I did contribute it to a lot of people doing these kind of images that I wasn't seeing a lot more before Applebot. It's kind of like it boomed from that point on, because, well, Applebot paid really a lot. If Applebot paid really a lot and I do these kind of images, then other companies who do that kind of images too will pay me a lot.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not always true.
And I guess there's not as much out there now so much. I mean, there probably is, but not one that has an art direction that's based on it, as far as I know. Maybe in Asia there's more. But
everything is in Asia when it comes to these.
Yeah, that's where all came from, I guess. I mean, I actually just wanted to say something really quick. If you're done, John.
I'm done.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm not going to add a lot to that, but technically, I think it was probably the best piece in terms of the finish and everything in there. But yeah, just I did want to talk about something, and I remembered from last time what that was that everyone kind of missed a little bit, and that's the brief. If you're going to finish an illustration for a client, and these challenges so far have been kind of emulating that, you've got a brief for a client, you've got to do it in 3 weeks and get it done. You have to hit the brief. It doesn't matter how amazing your image is, what technical skills you show them, how much time you took. All of that stuff doesn't matter if you don't nail the brief. And I feel that for most of these images, the ones that won or got into the top places did so not just because of not their technical skills weren't the thing that got them there. It was the fact that they actually managed to nail the brief a little bit more, as well as other things. So that's one thing I want to say again, is just really think about the narrative and making the image interesting and nailing the brief. Because you're going to get out there, you're going to do freelance, especially for freelance work. If you can't hit the brief, they're not going to pay you. and then you'll have to start doing hentai.
So, for example, Breshnoir is asking, card art is what I want indeed. So how should I approach card art? Card art is it's a very broad range. Yeah, you had Legend of the Cryptids card art, and you have Magic the Gathering art. Those are two completely different ends of spectrum. It's just, you cannot say how can I approach card art or how do I do card art. You don't. Yeah. Card art is an illustration. Something is going on that will match the card's description or the usability of the card. The fact that Legend of the Cryptids decided to put naked girls is just so that people who like looking at that kind of stuff, which there's a lot of them, and a lot of them have money for it, they will do it. Because kids look at it and they don't see boobies or asses. They're just like, oh, it's just a card. Like, there's some fantasy element in it that kids like, so it can be applied for them. Teenagers, they already understand nakedness, so they're like, oh, like they'll probably get turned on depending on how well you draw the girl. And then whether you like it or not, whether you meant to make people unzip their pants or not, it will happen. Like, trust me.
So you did your research.
I've done my research. There's no way to approach card art. If you're asking me how to approach a client that does that kind of work, look at their format is more important. Is very important. Your content needs to fit their universe or the kind of work they do. You just have to decide which kind of work you want to do, and also you can also disregard anything else that I said, because there's people out there who do what they want. They just focus on creating illustrations. Illustration is story driven. Something is happening in the picture, and card art uses that. Like, how did card art came about? Was from illustrations. So just do illustrations that you love doing, and I promise you that you can get card art based on the images that you're doing. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be the other way around. You don't have to create Legend of the Cryptids like images. You don't have to create Magic the Gathering like images. Just do what you like honestly and purely how you like it, and those companies, you can still apply to them because the formula is there. You're creating. Do you have interesting, smart images in your illustration, ideas in your illustration, then most likely Magic the Gathering would easily hire you. Of course, the technical quality has to be there too, and needs to have some sort of sync with their stuff, even just a little bit. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you just want visually pleasing images, whether it's sexualizing or not, or just pure fantasy, like shit being blown out and etc., just visually appealing, but the context of story is not the main priority, then you have a bunch of contact any Asian company, and most likely they will hire you. But again, it's really up to you. You don't have to do it. You don't have to cater to one or the other. Focus on making, if your image is interesting and it entertains us as a viewer, we could look at it if you can make someone look at your image for even a minute, you have a very successful painting, in my opinion. Look at how you look at, for example, when you go through people's portfolios. If you stop at one, it may feel like a minute, but if you were to time yourself, like put a timer, go to a random ass portfolio, put a 1 minute timer, and go one by one image. Like I swear that by the third minute, it's gonna feel like it passed an hour, because when an image does, like if an image entertains you for so long, a minute doesn't sound like much, but it is. Most of the time we browse through images, like the most interesting images are 20 seconds. You look at that image for 20 seconds, to all the corners, and focus on what's going on, and you move on to the next image. If someone can make you look at it for a whole minute, it's a lot of fucking time, and you did something very, very, very right.
And it's also repeat viewing. So images that still deliver on repeat viewing, and you still can go to them and enjoy them, then they've done something really, really right. It's not just a one-off.
Yes. So think of it as gameplay.
Are you talking about
Dark
hentai?
Souls can be played over and over again.
Okay. Awkward silence.
Some of the master paintings, you can go and stand in front of them for not just a minute, but you can actually stand in front of them for hours and go back and look at them again. Exactly. And it's not just a technical thing, right? It's there's something in there. So that's something that we could all do better, I think, is put that. It's kind of putting yourself into the art, I guess, in a really immersive way.
It's interesting because now when you talked about it, I realized when I look at some work at ArtStation, for example, and I like some of them, and I think, well, this is cool, but I do not really delve into all of the aspects of that painting. While where I was at a museum or I look at the old masters' paintings, I often stare and look at one single brush stroke and analyze how it was done and how the colors work together. So that would be cool.
I mean, there is something about physical media as well, which is more engaging, I think, because you've got that.
There's always
that physical texture. Yeah, so there's that as well. But just in general, good images will capture you and they'll recapture you. So
yeah, exactly. So it's like whether it's one thing, whether it's the technicality of an image, whether it's story based, whether it's just random shapes and it's entertaining to look at. If you can make a very entertaining image to look at, it'll always be successful. Then you have to tap into what you really want. That's really it. You just have to recognize what you want to do, and then use all the tools to your advantage to further enhance that, quality wise, and just make it even more like this or even more like that, depending whichever way you want to go, to the left or to the right. Maybe you want to go to both ways, left and right. So simple, make two portfolios. That's it. Yep. You want to do legend stuff and you want to do magic stuff, you can do both. Like you don't have to pick one, you can do both. But that's it. I don't feel sorry, I just want to say, don't feel like I'm attacking you, don't feel like I am telling you to stop doing it. It's more of telling you what I wish I told if I wish someone went out of their way and said, John, this, and that. Like, think about it, So I'd rather not take a risk and, seeing myself a little bit in you kind of thing. But if you purely enjoy doing it, and like I said, you could do it 100,000 times more, then you can disregard anything that I said. But still, in the image making, my critique is you can further enhance the image to be more like that. Like use everything that you can to make it even more attractive, make her even more sexualized, even more like interesting to look at. The fact that she's naked, etc. You know.
Add another
boob.
Another boob.
Another. Yeah. Add her 3 boobs instead of 2.
Yeah.
But again, ask yourself questions if you really enjoy doing it. I cannot stress enough. You may think you do, like I did, but pretend, take a whole month and do like 4 images like that. And if you can do it, then the next month keep doing 4 more. Until you either get sick of it or you've been doing it for long enough that you could keep going forever. I feel like you'd be able to figure out whether that's what you want to do or not, because that's what was happening to me. I was doing 10 paintings like that a month because they were in sets, right?
Yeah.
There was 2 images and you were getting paid for the 2 images. Every card had 2 images. But I thought I liked doing it, even though they were skimpy and stuff. I was like, well, whatever. But it got old really, really fast. And I decided, like, I don't like doing this. Definitely try other areas of work. Because, for example, just like comic, I recently did a test, 2-page test comic, for the fun of it. Like, I've never done comics. I always loved them. But the process of making a page or 2 or even 100, I never knew how it felt, like professionally done. And once I started doing it, I became really pumped. Like I loved doing it to the point that I'm willing to throw away like images, like Legend of the Cryptids, etc. Or I dare to say Magic the Gathering in order to do that kind of stuff. Because it tapped into a place where I did not know that I loved doing it so much. Why do I love working on Magic stuff, and why do I love looking at work like that? Because there's a story in it. It's story-driven images. I liked usually it's very smart stuff too. Good cards have very smart ideas, like illustration ideas in it, and I loved that. You know, so. If it's just a girl very well painted standing and doing something, then it doesn't, I change as an artist too. It doesn't make me as attractive or as attracted to and entertained as other stuff. But that's me. There are people who are fully entertained by looking at all kinds of art. Again, I'm the judge here and I'm giving you my personal opinion. You have to find yours. You don't have to agree with me. It's actually totally fine when you don't agree with a professional. I agree with everyone all the time. I mean, I disagree with everyone all the time. Doesn't mean that, I hate them or anything. It's just I know what I want. And you'll have to figure out what you want. Try everything that you can.
Yeah, the other thing, those are really good points. The other thing is, you've been on the journey, presumably a lot longer. So you've had the time to explore, all the different avenues, and you've gone in and you've done that, and then you've gone, okay, that's not for me, and gone off to other things. And that's basically all you really need to do is just keep pushing and trying out new things. And if you want to go for card art, that's totally cool. I've actually done quite surprisingly. I tend to do like half my work is card art. And I never, ever thought I would ever do card art. It didn't interest me. It wasn't anything I pushed for, but I was doing my own images. And, for whatever reason, the people who looked at my folios said, okay, we'd like you to do cards for us. So then I started doing cards for them. So it's not that you have to focus on doing card art in order to get a card art. Exactly what John is saying. Just do what you like, put narrative in it, put your own stuff into it. And it can go into card art because it's just for an illustration, really. And the other thing about card art, if you really want to do it, definitely do some that pick like the Magic, the card template itself, like the size of the format of the image, and do some illustrations for it. The other thing is card art has to read very well at a small size. So very simple bowl composition is actually going to be really something to focus on. So, you don't need new goals if you really want to go towards card art, but just you don't have to necessarily hit a style beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. Just try everything, and whichever one you like the best, do it. That's it.
So you wouldn't feel so depressed right now. I must say that your initial sketch that looked like a pin-up was really good, and I think it was actually better than the final piece you did.
In the final?
At least the face.
Oh yeah, the sketch with the composition, right?
Yeah.
Like you can see like the composition lines. I actually like that more than the final. Like the gesture is better. She feels more relaxed. She's just like, she feels overpowering. I really, really like your initial sketch with the reds. The one that has the reds composition, like the swirling golden composition. Like that's much more interesting to look at because you added character to the character, and you're emphasizing her sexualness even further by using gesture. And now imagine if you could use other things like camera angles, even the setup around her, everything to emphasize that. You could be in the top 3 because
I gave him feedback that the pose was too much like a pinup.
Yeah, we told
at
him
that
because
stage.
It didn't feel like it was fitting the challenge, but now it looks like it was actually better than what he came
probably
up.
No, if you can do anything, if it was a pinup, but as long as there's a treasure and some sort of like history to it, to the surrounding and whatever, like the bottle that she has, which certainly I can see like the design that you added, it does fit with her clothing. But for example, the treasure that she's sitting on is just a typical old treasure box. If you're gonna make the bottle and her clothes like that, then make everything else fit around that a little bit. They're not exactly to be the same, but you want to make it feel like it's within the same world at least. I'm looking at your thumbnails, the compilation ones. You should have gone for a pinup in this situation, and I see a couple of smaller thumbnails where like the angle is a little bit lower and makes her feel a bit even more like pinup like, and that's interesting to look at. If it's you definitely skill wise, you're focusing on your skills, and technically is a good looking image, but and you could have gone to the top 3 because you've done something that no one else did. Everyone went for the serious or tried to be like serious kind of stuff. If you went pinup wise, like full on pinup, use everything that you can to it, you could have been easily in the top 3, if not top 1. I don't know if you would be, but I'd have to imagine how you'd finish it. But definitely you would be in the top 3.
The other thing I just want to say real quick and give a shout out to Brush was he almost gave up. Actually, he was having a lot of troubles struggling with rendering and lighting, and he really pushed through. I kind of gave him a little kick, and he really pushed through and actually did an amazing job with the technicals, given that he struggled so much with it. So I've really got to shout out to that because it's really hard to do that when you're, down on an image and you feel like you can't push through. You just want to dump it, but to keep going. So, really well done on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I gotta go. So, are we wrapping up?
Yeah. We're done. Probably talked. I think you've given the most critique so far out of any judge. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I could do these all day, but I have to. Stuff I have to do.
It's really awesome for you to give your time and put in so much in-depth crit. So thanks a lot, and maybe we'll get you back on some point as a thread crit person because you're
for sure
you're nailing it.
Yeah, it would be a pleasure. Thank you for sure.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, John. And
Okay, thank you guys for inviting me. Hope you had a good challenge, and I hope anyone else who will be watching this in the video format or whatever, take it to the next challenges. Every challenge will teach you something, and learn from it. And even if you're not asked for it, always do an extra something, because that will separate you. Even like work-wise, I've gotten so many jobs because I've done more than the regular people, and I showed that I want to do that thing. Like, I have better ideas. I am, a better, not client, the other way around. But yeah, just
artist.
I'm a better artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So honorable mentions, everybody, because honestly, you all did great. There's only one or two people that we wanted to kind of like focus on just a little bit because this or that. But everybody deserves honorable mention, and it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, everybody, good work, like clap clap clap. Like, no, honestly, everybody did a good job. There's something interesting and cool to look at in every single one of those images. It's just that some nailed it closer to what we were looking for than others. Doesn't mean that there were any shape or form significantly worst.
They finished it. That's the actual achievement here. They did all the work and they finished, and that is actually a real achievement. So well done.
Exactly. No client cares if you've done half work or studies. Like, I've done 100 studies. It's like, dude, you're late to the deadline. No one cares.
It's still shit. Give me what I want. Yeah.
All right. Anyways, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Okay.